It's one of John Key's first big ideas as Prime Minister. The project to build a national cycleway emerged from his Jobs Summit, remember that, in 2009, which aimed to find ways to boost employment and drive regional economic growth. The government so far poured $75 million into building the trails. It's found that for every dollar spent, the trails generated $3.55 for the broader economy. As part of our RNZ's Is This the Brighter Future, an assessment of the National-led government's record, our Deputy Political Editor, Chris Bramwell, has been taking a look at the cycle trails to see if they've delivered the huge benefits that were promised to the regions. She loaded up her bike and hit the Timber Trail in the central North Island, and Chris met some pretty interesting characters along the way.
The 83-kilometre Timber Trail runs between Puriora and Ōngārui in the Puriora Forest Park west of Lake Taupō. The government contributed $5.5 million to build the trail, which opened 4 years ago. Paul Golding runs the bike hire and shuttle business Epic Cycle Adventures. As we drive to the start of the trail, he tells me he started the business about 3.5 years ago. And what were you doing before that?
I was a teacher in Auckland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What made you come down here?
I don't like teenagers.
So you saw the Timber Trail opening and saw an opportunity?
It happened almost by chance. We were looking to buy a house in Auckland and obviously, struggling along. And I think my wife got on Trade Me, and I think she, in the search engine, she put the cheapest house in New Zealand. And a house came up in Tamaranui, and we decided to come and have a look at it. It was like $40,000 or something. We thought, we're not going to come live here, but we might buy it and, use it as a holiday place or maybe a retirement place or something. And we came down here for a weekend, and there was an article in the local newspaper about the Timber Trail. It had just started, they just started building it, so it was still early days. And it just planted a seed, and I sort of, it was in the back of my mind. And then almost by chance, must have been 18 months later, I read something on the internet about the trail was about to open. So this would have been 4 years ago, almost to the day. I said to her, let's go back down there, I want to ride this trail. And I rode the trail, and that was it. I knew it was going to be something special.
Paul started off with a van, a trailer and 4 bikes. He now has 3 vans, 40 bikes, and his son and partner have moved to Taumarunui to help run the growing business. Paul Golding says the towns either end of the Timber Trail are doing well out of all the cyclists coming through, and the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment backs that up, saying in its most recent assessment that nationally the trails contributed more than $37 million to the economy in 2015. Most people cycle the Timber Trail in 2 days, overnighting somewhere in the middle, like at Maria and Kerry Tuffin's Blackfern Lodge. Hi, Kerry.
Hello.
I'm Chris.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Did you know that Maria's volunteered you to do an interview with me?
She volunteered me.
No.
She didn't volunteer herself.
No, she's like, Kerry will do it. Kerry and Maria built Blackfern Lodge 18 years ago to cater to groups and those wanting to stay at a retreat. Business was pretty slow, but Kerry says the Timber Trail has changed that dramatically.
Yeah, this is our 4th season now on the Timber Trail. So that's all we do now is mountain bikers.
And has that been a big change for the business? Are you way busier now because you've got the mountain bikers coming through than you were before?
Hugely.
Really?
Yeah, definitely huge. And for way up here, it's made a huge difference to this little part of the world.
Kerry and Maria left Auckland in 1987, selling the engineering business, yacht and beach house, to move to the tiny valley in a remote part of the King Country.
We arrived here in the winter and copped 24 frosts in a row, in a tent.
It's pretty rough.
All the locals thought we were mad Aucklanders and we wouldn't last very long and we'd be gone home again. We survived, and if I had my time again, I'd do it again. It was an amazing experience in our life to just live hard out like that in a tent for 14 months in the middle of the winter, and all we did was look after ourselves and go hunting, fishing, and it was just, I'd go there again.
It's
definitely.
Magic. It's magic.
It was brilliant part of our life.
Yeah.
So, and then
the second day of the Timber Trail crosses New Zealand's longest cycle trail suspension bridge and passes through the spectacular Ongarui spiral. The day ends with a wee spin down the road to the tiny settlement of Ongarui, which used to be home to the sawmill which processed all the timber coming out of the forest. The mill closed in 1966, followed soon after by the post office. All that remains there now is a handful of houses, the school, which has about 20 pupils, and a small backpackers owned by Rem Renson.
Okay.
So you don't want nothing to drink?
No, I'm alright, unless you're having one.
I'll have a beer.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I'll have a beer.
Homebrew.
Yeah, shit, yeah, for sure.
Despite sporting a pretty loud patchwork shirt, Rem is a quiet and considered fellow, and after his initial horror at being confronted with a microphone, he relaxes and we settle in for a chat.
Letting pace going. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Rem has 3 rooms available for rent in what he calls his flash packers. He also offers home-cooked meals and hire bikes. He set up the business 18 months ago after he saw more and more mountain bikers riding past his door.
I had a house there and I was just on my own, so it wasn't no good to me really. What can you do in a house by yourself? So, and then I'm a builder and I'm 59 this year. Physically, I'm struggling now to do certain like concreting and up on the roof and crawling around, and it's just too manual. I know I'm not going to see 65 doing that type of work, so I've just taken advantage of what's here, really.
Were you living here before?
Yeah.
How long have you been here for?
15 years. I came from Ohura before.
The Flash Packers is just starting to break even, and Rem hopes next year he'll be making a living off the business, but there are some potential bumps in the road ahead. Rem's having a problem with the Department of Conservation, which wants to move the end of the trail from Ongarui back up the trail at Bennett's Road.
They're diverting our potential customers here. For example, they're stopping me from advancing with my cafe here because they're diverting all the people away from the central the CBD of Ongarui. And I've been talking to them for 2 years and nothing's been done. And the shuttles, they're running up and down up to Bennett's Road, and then they're coming down here looking for their clients because they don't know where they could be. So it's caused a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
A trust is being set up to help operate the trail, organise volunteers and fundraise. The local councils and DOC say that model will help with community buy-in and avoid the potential for more disagreements about the trail in the future. Atu i te whare pārimata mō te hōtaka o te ahiahi nei, ko Chris Bramwell ahau.
That was a lovely story from Chris Bramwell, despite the beer drinking during it. Goodness gracious me. Motorists wanting to be the first through Auckland's new Waterview Tunnel will have to play a guessing game as the Transport Agency is refusing to say when it will open. After months of delays, the $1.4 billion tunnel is set to open in early July, but although it's been confirmed it won't open tomorrow, the exact opening date remains a secret, unlike Shane Jones. Tom Furley reports.
Aucklanders have already had a chance to walk through the tunnel, with open days attracting tens of thousands of walkers and cyclists. Transport commentator Matt Lowry from the website Greater Auckland says that's unlikely to have satisfied people's curiosity.
I think that shows you that people do want to look at it, and lots of people couldn't get tickets to do that. And so it's quite likely that there will be a lot of people who haven't been through, or even those who have walked or cycled through it, who want to see what it's like to drive through. So it's quite likely we'll see a lot of people in the days and weeks that follow this opening going to have a look at it.
But the date of that opening remains an official secret. Earlier this month, the Transport Minister, Simon Bridges, said the tunnel would open to traffic in early July, but the Transport Agency won't be more specific than that. In a written statement, the Transport Agency's Auckland Highway Manager, Brett Glidden, says in the past there have been a large number of people wanting to use new routes.
This created long queues of people waiting on the side of the motorway, which became a safety issue. To reduce the likelihood of this occurring, we will not be announcing the exact opening time.
Waterview resident and local community board member Margie Watson says she won't need to be told.
People in Waterview and Point Chevalier will know the day it opens because all the traffic will be pouring out the northern portal on the very high ramps that are up above residential houses. There's some concern about the level of noise that will drift over both those communities when the ramps open, so we'll see it the day it opens.
She says trying to reduce traffic around the opening is a good idea. However, Matt Lowry says NZTA's decision not to give people warning won't necessarily have the desired effect.
As soon as it's open, people are going to go and try it out. So yes, it might stop a little bit of the queuing up, to have a look at it that some people might try. As I said, there's going to be some people who want to be the first through, but once it's open, it's going to be open, and it's not going to prevent that from occurring with people going to have a look.
A spokesperson for the Automobile Association, Barney Irvine, says NZTA is being over the top and overly cautious.
We think on balance that the better approach would be to let people know when it's going to happen. You run the risk of causing additional confusion by sort of suddenly surprising people with its availability as a traffic route.
Once the tunnel does open, the Transport Agency expects it to take weeks for traffic flow to adjust to the new route. For Checkpoint, Tom Furley.